Welcome to day 16. Motivation is overrated. This is a pretty important concept because if you're on a journey to transform yourself, like I am for 365 days in a row, you'll wake up and you just won't be motivated anymore. And so that's why I wanted to talk about this subject today. So I remember when I was younger, I got my first real job. And it was only a few months into the job when the ownership needed to turn the business around. So they hired a consultant to come in. And so I got to participate in my first motivational speech business setting. So we all gathered in this large room, and the consultant came in and stood up on a chair. And he was trying to get the crowd all excited. And he said something, he asked the question, what are we here for? What are we doing? And some people threw out some ideas, we're here to do this, we're here to do that. And he was like, no. And finally, somebody said, well, what do you think? And he says, we're here to take over the world. Well, everybody left that day inspired. What I didn't realize is that I had actually met Dogbert, the evil consultant. That's who this guy was. So the motivation lasted a couple of days. Pretty soon, everybody was back to doing what they were doing, back to playing video games, back to being lazy, and he was locked up in some room somewhere on phone calls. He lasted a couple of weeks, and everybody else in the business went back to doing what they were always doing. Motivation is entirely temporary. It's a temporary emotion that might encourage us to get off the couch, but it certainly won't be with us, and it will never be a companion to help you through each and every day. The temporary nature of motivation is why people often return back to their former selves. If you want to transform yourself, there is no shortcut. You have to do a certain subscribed things in order to get out of your current behavior and into a new one. Motivation is like a drug. It gives you a temporary high, a temporary great feeling, but then shortly thereafter, it's gone. And you're left with the reality, which is you got to get up and you got to go and you got to do that every day. So this motivation as a myth theme is really important to understand. In fact, I remind myself of that. Motivation is a myth. Now, there are some days where I'll wake up and I'll feel motivated and real excited to get out and do my habits and my commitments and the things I'm trying to do. And that's great. Enjoy that time when that occurs. But day in and day out, most of your days will feel rather unmotivated. Motivation is insufficient to get you through a life transformation process. So you need something else. So what is it? Well, I would say in a summary, you need persistence. This is why most of us are skeptical when we hear people give motivations. We see it all the time. We see videos and we see exciting things where people talk about all these wonderful things you can do and you get all excited about it, or you hear a speech on the main stage at your company and there's a moment where you're like, oh, this could be cool, but then you have this skeptical thing like, this isn't going to work. The reason why is because we all know the truth. In order for real change to happen, we have to have discipline. Now, I hate that word, discipline. The word discipline has haunted me my whole life. I've even heard myself say what a lot of other people say is, I'm just not disciplined. Well, that is absolutely true. Nobody is disciplined, right? Nobody is naturally disciplined. Your human body, your human self does not gravitate towards a disciplined state. It just doesn't. The idea that people are naturally born to be disciplined is just completely false. I have never met a single person that naturally finds discipline easy. I have met a lot of people who've gritted down and it just fought through a period of time where they had to build a habit. And those people look to us as highly disciplined. What really happened is they gutted through the hard part and now they have a habit. So I think the ultimate secret, and this is not going to be exciting, this is not a news flash, but the ultimate secret is simply repetition. Repeat, repeat, repeat. That is the mantra. That's the secret sauce, in my opinion. Everybody can talk about all these high-fluted ideas on all these cool things you can do. Wake up at 5 a.m. or wake up at 4:30 or, do a gratitude journal. All these things are great ideas. I'm not discounting them. But the most important thing to do is if you identify a behavior that will improve your life, I don't care what it is, the only way for that identified behavior to improve is for you to repeat, repeat, repeat. That's it. That is the difference between success and failure. In fact, you should repeat, repeat, repeat regardless of success or failure. If you succeed and have a really good day, great, repeat again. If you fail one day, too bad, repeat once again. Fail, repeat, success, and then repeat again. Avoid this motivation roller coaster. You get on this motivation culture and it's just blah, right? You just don't get anywhere. And this applies in business too. I mean, how often have you been on a conference call or heard a leader try to get everybody motivated to achieve some target and everybody's excited and then nobody does anything? This is because we over-rely on motivation. People think they're leading when they're motivating, when it's really not the case. I remember when I was first got into this major role, there was a CEO that started sending out this big win email. And the big win email celebrated a big win that came in the previous day. Now, that alone was motivating. Everybody's like, oh, I would like one like that. I'd like to win a deal like that. So it was exciting. Well, the problem is no, there's no problem. What the good thing is he actually started doing that every day. So every day there would be a new big win email. Over time, it took a while, but over time, people were anticipating the big win email. And they were, even more importantly, they were anticipating their name potentially being on the big win email. So now people had real, this became a habitual thing. People are looking to get on the big win email. It wasn't the CEO's bright idea. It wasn't the CEO's motivational speech about it. It wasn't even what the CEO was writing. The thing that got people's attention was the repetition. So when you wake up, chances are you're not going to be motivated, generally. So we just need to accept that motivation is not going to be my friend. Motivation is like, this person that comes and visits you one day and then they're gone the next. Motivation will never have your back. Motivation will stab you in the back constantly. Motivation is actually your enemy. If you rely on motivation, you're going to be found wanting, no doubt about it. Personal transformation is all about embracing discipline. Some people call this grit. I think a better word is resilience. The willingness and the desire to push through and be resilient, irregardless of what happens, is the force of will that is required to turn any repetitive behavior into a habit. And that really is the secret. When you start building things that are habits, they become easier to do. They require less inertia to get done. Like right now, if you were to start running every day, that's one of my commitments right now. I run every day. So if you were to start running every day right now, if you hadn't run before, it will take an enormous amount of inertia to get out the door and actually do that activity. It will feel like you're pulling your fingernails off. It'll be horrible. But if you keep doing it over and over and over and over again, then eventually you will build a habit. I would say 90 days, you'll probably build a habit. And then you'll no longer require that inertia anymore. It'll be easier. And everybody will be looking at you saying, wow, they're so disciplined. So in summary, motivation is not your friend. Discipline is. There's a lot of importance around repetition to build habits is how you transform. And so hopefully this helps. Thank you very much.